Okay, back to the dinam of the etiquette of eating. Okay, so we learned like this. You're not allowed to throw bread, no matter what. Even if you want to pass over a piece of bread, you just flip it over, you're not allowed to. Any other food that doesn't become disgusting when you throw it, like if you throw a fruit, then it doesn't become disgusting, then you're allowed to throw it.
So how do we give it to the end of the table?
Don't throw it.
They pass it down.
Okay.
Or else you take a plate and you put the challah on a plate and then you can't throw
You
it.
can't go from the hand to hand, right?
It says you're not supposed to hand it to the person, but you can put it on a plate and then you pass around the plate and then it's done. Okay. Interesting thing. If somebody drinks this is not done today, but in halacha it says like this: if you drink water, you shouldn't drink it in public. You should turn your head a little bit to the side. By other liquids, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Another din is you're not allowed to stare at a person who's eating, because they become embarrassed by it. And you're not supposed to look at his shirt because he maybe spilled things on it or got things dirty, so he's going to be embarrassed. So again, when somebody's eating, you're not allowed to stare at them because again, they'll be embarrassed the way they're eating and so on and so forth. Okay, now here's an interesting halacha that is abroad in many different areas. Now, in Kitzur Shchunar it says you're not allowed to give food to somebody that won't wash, bench, make a bracha. So generally speaking, this shaila is in many poskim many achrein talk about different things. For instance, if you have a bakery, you own a bakery, and people come in to buy bread. Not everybody is going to make a bracha, not everybody is going to wash. For Netilas Yadayim, not everybody is going to do Berchas Hamazon, they're not going to bench. So are you allowed to sell them the food? So last time, if I remember correctly, was a few days ago, it really was last week, we were learning that there's a concept called Lefnei Iver Leisitin Michshol. There's two aspects. One is the biblical mitzvah, or Avera really, that Lefnei Iver Leisitin Michshol. Before a blind person, you're not allowed to put a stumbling block. Which doesn't only mean physically, it means you're not allowed to help somebody do an Avera. It's biblically forbidden to help somebody do an Avera. But that's only if the person wouldn't be able to get it on his own. If he'd be able to get it on his own, not always is the din of Lifnei Iver Leisitin Michshol. Before a blind person, you're not allowed to put a stumbling block applies. The case, we started learning this last time. The classic case of the Gemara is by a Nazir who's not allowed to drink wine. So what happens, the Gemara says, a Nazir is on one side of the river, and you're on the other side of the river, and you have a bottle of wine. And the Nazir says, throw over the wine, because he wants to drink the wine. So over there, according to everybody, you're transgressing Lifnei Iver Leisitin Michshol. Why? The Nazir cannot get it on his own, because there's no bridge. He can't get to the other side. So then, without you, he wouldn't be able to do the Aveda. So then, you're helping him do the Aveda. What happens if it's on the same side of the river? That means you're here and all the Nazir would have to do is walk 10 feet and he would be able to get the wine himself. And he says to you, do me a favor, throw over the wine. So then you're not transgressing Lifnei Iver Leisitin Michshol because even without you he can get it. Nevertheless, in halacha it says there's still the level of Masayeh Alidei Aveda. They're still helping somebody sin.
Even though you warn him that it's not...
without you, he's not going to get it, so you're giving it.
But you're warning him and it's up to him for the free choice.
No, even if you warn him, you still can't give it to him.
Well, so you're taking away his free choice.
He's not supposed to have he's supposed to choose not to. And you're helping him do a sin. You're helping him do a sin. Without you, it's very simple. Without you, he couldn't get it. Now he's getting it. So then you're helping him sin. So what happens? What?
You go further and pour it out, so for sure he's not going to get it?
The shayla is that baltashches. Are you wasting wine? If anything, drink it yourself. If you drink it yourself, then you're not wasting anything and he's not going to get it anyway. Okay, so then you have a one second. Now you have a case like this. In this case here, somebody comes into a bakery and they want to buy a loaf of bread. And you know these people are not going to wash or bench or make a meitzi. Or another, you own a restaurant, people come in to eat, and they're buying food, and you're serving food, but they're not gonna make a bracha, they're not gonna wash your bench. I mean, so are you allowed to do it or not? So in the poskim they write that in that case you're allowed to do it. Why? Because anytime a person pays money for it, he pays money for it, so then he could buy it somewhere else. He doesn't have to buy only in your store. If he's getting it for free, he's not going to be able to get it free somewhere else. But the poskim writers, Chesed, others, there's a Rida Assad, famous Hungarian Pesach that writes that also, that basically because the guy's not going to be able to, can get it anyway, buying it somewhere else, so then they poskim that you're allowed to give it to him. You're allowed to sell it to him.
If it was only a restaurant or a store, that's still.
But if he wants to buy it, even then they end up being mekel and all this stuff anyway. And they say, some other poskim add to that, it's not even Mesayeh Lidei Aveda. I'm not even helping him. Forget Lifnei, because he could buy by me, he can go somewhere else. I'm not causing him to sin. He could buy it somewhere else. I am helping him sin. So they're right, I'm not helping him sin. Helping him sin was I directly help you sin. Here I'm giving you food, not making a bracha. I'm not directly making you not make a bracha. So they hold this not Mesayeh Lidei Aveda. This is a very broad shaila, by the way. There's a tshuva, if I remember correctly, Machne Chaim has a tshuva about if somebody is a librarian in a public library, and a Jew comes in and wants to buy books about Christianity. To borrow books about Christianity. Am I allowed to help him find a book? So it's also discussed that exact case. A librarian, a guy comes in and asks to rent a treifa book, to borrow a treifa book. Am I allowed to help him? So over there they also are more mekel because he can find the book himself. You're just making it easier for him. It's not that he can't get the book, he could get the book. It's not that you hid it and now you're the only one that can give it to him.
He's the rabbi.
Huh? So they say it, so the question is in Messiah. So the question is some poskim write that by another thing about like not washing, they write there's no Messiah Lidei Aver by Vaad Rabbonim, because washing is only rabbinic. So therefore there are many poskim write there's no Messiah Lidei Aver by Vaad Rabbonim.
And a librarian with the Christian,
Huh? The question is it Mamash Aveda Zorah? It's not Mamash Aveda Zorah. It's a big shot. I'm just telling you, the answer is not as easy as the question. The question is a very powerful question. Can you help somebody do a thing? Or they write, I'll give you another example. A guy has a vending machine. A guy owns a vending machine. So number one, a guy's going to put money in, and he's going to get out a candy bar, whatever, and he's not going to make a bracha on it. Is that also helping? So that they write that most people are probably goyim. Most people are goyim. And most people, if it's in a frum neighbor, are probably going to make a bracha. So you can assume that whoever is buying it is probably going to be making a bracha or the goyim.
What if you put tray for food in the vending machine?
That's a question. The question goes even a step further. Am I allowed to have own a vending machine that operates on Shabbos? No, it's a very practical question, by the way. There are people that own vending machines, right? And now they put them in malls, let's say, wherever the event, and they make. Let's leave out tray for food, because that's the stack of question, can I do it? Now, if majority of people are goyim, then obviously it's not just a big problem making tray for food, because you assume the goyim, you go bust it off, majority is buying it at goyim, so there's not a problem with tray for food. With Shabbos is a shaila. One second. With Shabbos is a shaila. So the very frum guys close the vending machines for Shabbos. They close them.
It's the same.
Other heterim, there's a heterim again because you can assume they're going. What?
E-commerce also is a program that shuts the shop on Shabbat.
I know. You have a whole nother shaila. If you have a business online and people are buying stuff on Shabbos, this is not for now. But what?
Now you send a wire before Shabbat, knowing that in China they're going to receive it on Shabbat?
So if you're sending it to a Jew in China,
Not true.
no, I'm saying, if you're sending it to a Jew in China, obviously you're not allowed to because he's going to open it up on Shabbos. So let's say you want to send Friday afternoon, here, let's say New York is 3 hours ahead, let's say, so you want to send some email to a guy in New York who's Jewish but not religious, so then you're not allowed to send an email before Shabbos because he's going to open it on Shabbos. Right? Or you can't send an email, let's say if you're in New York, and it's 1 hour after Shabbos, you can't send an email here to somebody who's not religious because they're going to open it on Shabbos. What?
Funds, money.
Wire, money. You can wire.
Okay, no, if you talk about money, wiring money, you could because it's going into a bank.
He's not opening the wire.
He's not, right, he's not opening the wire. The money's going automatically into his bank. But you have all these questions, we discussed it not too long ago. What happens if a guy has, I don't know why, because the Philippines seems to be the place where everybody in America has workers working for them, in the Philippines. So I had the last bunch of shilas like that, they were all about Filipinos. So now the question is, when it's Shabbos in the Philippines, they're all going working, right? So it's Friday afternoon here, in the Philippines it's Shabbos already. Can he call or text or email his Goyish workers in Philippines over there at Shabbos ready? The answer is yes. But he can't do it when it's Shabbos by him. Okay? He can't.
Shabbos by us.
By the boss, the guy sending it. That you can do. But they're not, anytime it's Shabbos by him, even though it's not Shabbos by them, it goes by the him because they're shluchim of him doing the work. So when it's by him Shabbos, he can't do it.
But they can work on Shabbat for him?
They can work on Shabbos if they're not paid per hour, they're paid for the job, and he doesn't tell them to work on Shabbos, and yeah, then he would be allowed to. But he can't pay him per hour. What?
If I keep Chol Yisrael and I have someone give me an OUD chocolate bar, can I give it to another Yid that doesn't keep Chol Yisrael?
It's a similar question to this to a certain extent. Those people that hold that non-Chol Yisrael, you have to kosher the kelim to that extent, then you wouldn't be allowed to give it. You wouldn't be allowed to give it. But again, it's not so simple. You can't say it's treif. I know the OK, Rabbi Beryl Levy, the founder of the OK, okay? He was told by the Rebbe that they should give a hechsher on non-Chol Yisrael stuff. The Rebbe told me you should give a hechsher on non-Chol Yisrael stuff. Why? Because there's a lot of people that don't keep Chol Yisrael, and there are tatum, there are leniencies for it, and like this they'll be eating treif. And like this, they'll be having at least this kosher. So the Rebbe told him, because that wasn't an official Chabad organization. Official Chabad organization is not allowed to give cholovakum. It's not allowed to give non-cholav Yisrael.
The Badatz, they told me.
Whatever, but what? I didn't say about treif. I said if you have a vending machine, okay, if you have a vending machine in a Goyish neighborhood, that also has treif in the machine, not only treif in the machine, that you also have kosher, or not really treif things in the machine, then I'll be halacha, you're allowed to do it. If your vending machine, there's another din. A Jew is not allowed to make a living from things which are biblically forbidden. Like a Jew is not allowed to own a non-kosher meat market. A Jew is not allowed to whatever.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven is not, because you have a lot of kosher things in there.
But also you have a lot of...
Yeah, but the question is your business only the tray for things, and it's not. So a Jew is not allowed to own a business that sells only tray for things. So if a guy has a vending machine that has only tray for things, then it would be questionable if he could. But if a guy has a vending machine that has kosher and treif in it, and it's in a non-Jewish area where basically like South Central LA, I mean like something like that, then there's no reason why you can't, because It's all goyim basically, and you're allowed to benefit from. If it's something of meat and milk, then you wouldn't be allowed to have it because you can't benefit from meat and milk. What? The what? Things which are forbidden with Rabbanan you're allowed to. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch. What?
Well, I mean, if you have, for example, A&P or like a gas station or the market, they have kosher and non-kosher, is that okay?
Let's put it this way. There are leniencies for it. But to have only treif is a very big problem.
The rule for AMPM is same as 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I mean, they're all the same din, all those types of stores.
They are competition, but it's
The halacha is the same though. So, okay, anyway, coming back here. Okay, now, this din people also not careful today because the situation is different. Shulchan Aruch, it says like this. A guest, you're sitting at somebody's table, you're a guest. The guest is not allowed to take food from the table and give it to the kids of the host. The guest cannot give food to the kids of the host. Why not? Maybe there's not enough food. Okay, and now by giving the kids food, there won't be enough for the guests, and the host will be embarrassed. So it says in halacha, what happens if there's a lot of food out on the table? Obviously, there's definitely enough for everybody. So then you are allowed to, because then the host won't be embarrassed, because obviously there's enough food to go around. Okay, that's okay. If there's plenty on the field, the meat you could eat it. Okay, okay, that's it.